Let me recognize the gentleman from Kansas, Mr. Estes, to inquire.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this very important hearing, and thank you to each of our witnesses for joining us today. You know, as we talk about the tragic rise in mental health issues, including cases of severe anxiety and depression, and the rise of substance abuse disorders and suicide, I hope that we can address the underlying causes behind the rapid decline in our nation's mental health. Also hope that we can address why we're seeing so many of these dangerous drugs become so widely available across so much of our communities. In Kansas, the first half of 2021 showed methamphetamine accounting for 44% of overdoses. The wide dispersal of this and other dangerous drugs like fentanyl is destroying families and whole communities across Kansas and across the country. No matter how much some of us here want to ignore the crisis that we're facing on the border, the fact remains that illegal drugs are pouring in. The number of fentanyl deaths has doubled in 30 states in the last 2 years, 5 of which saw a 5-fold increase. The DEA has confirmed that Mexico is one of the primary sources for the flow of fentanyl in the United States. Just this past week, Border Patrol officers seized close to $3 million worth of meth disguised as onions. I'm proud to say that our Border Patrol caught this shipment, but much too much is being missed. Without proper enforcement of America's laws at the border by this administration, the substance abuse crisis and many other associated crises will only get worse. In Kansas, we've heard our law enforcement sound alarm bells over the rise in crime linked with drugs, especially with meth. In Sedgwick County, Kansas, my home county, it's reported that 70% of all drug crimes involve meth. While there is assisted treatment for those addicted to opioids, resources for those struggling with methamphetamines are scarce. So as we talk about the horrible rise in drug overdoses and suicide, I think it's time to recognize the fact that many of the measures that are clearly causing the issue must be addressed. Ms. Holsey, in your testimony, you mentioned the importance of increasing the availability of Medicaid-assisted treatment, MAT. Unfortunately, MAT does not exist for meth addiction. Is there something that should be further explored through research?
Absolutely. Top of my wish list every year is a medication to treat stimulant use disorder. As having my dad struggled with both opioid use disorder and stimulant use disorder, crack cocaine, and it's a devastating illness. We need more tools in our toolboxes. But yet we do have contingency management, which is behavioral therapy proven to work for stimulant use disorder, for cocaine and methamphetamines, vastly underutilized in all of our communities across the country. So yes, we need more tools, and yes, we need to actually use the tools that our researchers and clinicians and scientists have already built for us.
So you talked about contingency management. I mean, what are the barriers to being able to use those services? I mean, is it cost prohibitive? Is there too great a demand? Are there too few individuals trained in the services?
It's a great question. We could use your help with eliminating some of the barriers around contingency management. Contingency management, it's beautiful because it uses sort of incentives, the same sort of part in your brain that's affected by addiction. It's sort of using it against the disease. So you're incentivizing positive behaviors through rewards, through a gift card, through incentives that keep someone retained in their program and participating in the behaviors that we need to see. There's prohibitions on using federal money for contingency management that we'd love your help to address. We have a lot of stigma around these programs, and it shouldn't be there. When we can incentivize and we can build these programs and this behavioral therapy into all of our treatment, you can even use contingency management through digital therapeutics now, I believe. We can improve and layer interventions that work. Let's say even someone who's on MAT, contingency management can still be used in concert with that, along with cognitive behavioral therapy and counseling and other supports. So yes, there's some barriers. We'd love your help eliminating those, particularly with the increase in cocaine and methamphetamine overdoses. We should be doubling down on the availability of CM.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, again, thank you for holding this important hearing. There are too many Americans that are suffering right now, and we can't continue to rely on our jails and our hospitals as a place of last resort for folks that need help.
Great
Thank you,
point.
and I yield back.
Great point. Thank the gentleman.